Today we have some hot and exclusive news for you straight from the battlefield. The Commanders' defense is becoming more and more of a nightmare for opponents, and the one fueling all this fire is none other than Frankie Luvu. But wait, we can't forget the impact Jaden Daniels is bringing as well. Let's analyze all the details of this game, from the impact plays to what still needs improvement. I'll tell you everything in detail, so subscribe to the channel now, leave your like, and hit the bell to not miss anything. Let's dive into this analysis, starting with a crucial point. Jaden Daniels, our rookie who's already becoming a sensation, was once again instrumental in the Commanders' victory. But this time, it was the defense that really shone, led by Frankie Luvu. This guy is playing at a level few people expected. There were decisive plays and an energy that infected the whole team. The 34-13 score against the Browns doesn't just reflect the offense's skill, but the defense was the real star. So if you think Daniels is the only important piece, prepare to be surprised. And now, it's time for you to share your expectations in the comments. Do you think this Luvu and Daniels duo will take us far? The most interesting thing is that this game brought something different. For the first time, Jaden Daniels didn't have to carry the team on his back. Sure, he made his plays, but it was the defense, especially Luvu and Bobby Wagner, that made the difference. These two linebackers were hired for games like this. And look, the bet is paying off. The performance of these two was simply flawless, holding the Browns' offense in a way no one expected. These guys came with everything. And this raises the question, have we finally found the perfect formula in defense? Stay tuned, because I'm going to show you how this partnership is revolutionizing the way the Commanders play. Now, there's something no one can ignore. The Commanders' defense was struggling until now. It was last in the league in opponents' third down conversions. But what happened against the Browns was a real show. They held the opposing offense to just one conversion out of 13 attempts. That's a giant leap for a team that, until last week, seemed to have serious defensive problems. Luvu, in particular, was the standout, not only leading the team in sacks, but also in tackles, QB hits, and fumble recoveries. The change in defense is evident, and it's here to stay. So I ask you, are we finally seeing the evolution we've been waiting for so long? And it doesn't stop there. The Commanders' defense had been struggling with covering opponents' number one wide receivers, allowing touchdowns in every game so far. But guess what? Against the Browns, none of the main targets managed to get into the end zone. This is the result of impeccable defensive work, where not only the linebackers but the entire secondary did a spectacular job. Benjamin St-Juste was another who shined, especially in key moments of the game. How much can this change the fate of the Commanders' season? That question hangs in the air, and I want to hear from you in the comments. And there's more. One thing that has to be highlighted. The Commanders managed to pressure the opposing quarterback like never before. There were 7 sacks on Deshaun Watson, something the team hadn't been able to do until now. Before this game, Washington had only 8 sacks in 4 games. It seems that with the fans pushing and the defense on fire, the team finally managed to find the right rhythm to bother opponents. And that, my friend, is the kind of thing that changes a season. The defense was aggressive from start to finish, and this is a clear sign that the Commanders are no longer playing around. If you still don't believe it, just wait to see what's coming. Now, let's talk more about Frankie Luvu. This guy played like he was possessed. He not only led the team in practically all defensive statistics, but also recovered a crucial fumble. And if you're a Panthers fan, you'll remember him from there. But here in Washington, Luvu is playing at a level that not even the most optimistic expected. He was responsible for stopping the Browns' running back on a decisive 4th down play right at the beginning of the game. This set the tone for what would be a perfect afternoon for our defense. Honestly, I think Luvu can already be considered one of the best linebackers this season. What do you think? And if you think only Luvu shined, you're wrong. Bobby Wagner, a true living legend, also left his mark. He got a spectacular sack by throwing a Browns lineman on top of Deshaun Watson, securing another takedown. Wagner and Luvu form a duo that will certainly give people something to talk about. They are leading the defense and transforming the way the Commanders play. And this is no exaggeration. This duo brought a new mentality to the team, something that had been missing for some time. And now, the defense is finally up to par with our offense. So tell me, fan, are Luvu and Wagner the best linebacker duo we've ever had? Dan Quinn, our coach, didn't spare praise for the duo. He talked about how Bobby Wagner is the calmest guy in any situation, and how Luvu is the opposite. bringing that wild intensity and fun to the game. And it's exactly this mix that's working so well on the field. This Commanders defense is showing that, with the right energy and the right mentality, we can compete with any team in the league. And the best part is that we're just getting started. We still have a lot to evolve, and if the level is already high now, imagine what's coming. Now, tell me, are you already feeling that playoff smell in the air? And speaking of evolution, our dear Jaden Daniels may not have been the absolute protagonist this time, but he continues to make important plays. Despite having had a difficult start with some inaccurate passes and even an interception, he showed once again that he knows how to stay calm in difficult moments. Daniels didn't let the initial pressure shake his game. He finished with 238 yards, a touchdown pass, and of course that leadership we're starting to recognize. The way he deals with errors is what differentiates great players. Is he ready to be the next great Commanders QB? The discussion is open, and I want to know what you think. My friends, what a game was that. Right in the second drive of the game, the guy threw a 66-yard bomb to Terry McLaurin, and the man didn't disappoint. He completed the reception, which already accounted for a good part of the 112 yards he accumulated in just 4 receptions. And note, he even lost the ball on a carry at the beginning of the second half, but by then, he had already shown why he's the go-to guy in this offense. The Daniels and McLaurin connection could be one of the keys to success this season. Now, what can we expect from this duo for the rest of the championship? But if you think the show ended there, you're wrong. Daniels still managed to feed Dyami Brown, this time with a 41-yard lateral pass that resulted in a touchdown with only 36 seconds left in the second quarter. Can you believe it? Another proof that Daniels has a big play potential that, when activated, can decide games. And the cherry on top was his leadership in rushes as well. There were 82 rushing yards, including an impressive 34-yard run that took Washington to Cleveland's 6-yard line, paving the way for one of Brian Robinson Jr.'s 2 rushing touchdowns. As a fan, I ask, who here isn't excited about Daniels' evolution? Comment below what you think of this kid. And speaking of Brian Robinson Jr., what a consistent player. Even limited during the week by a knee injury, the guy went out there and scored 2 touchdowns, one from 1 yard and another from 4 yards. The grit of this team is impressive. Even with difficulties, Robinson showed he's ready to deliver when we need it most. Now, a detail that can't be overlooked. Our offensive line. Even with rookie Brandon Coleman taking over the left tackle position, the guys managed to keep the 2023 Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, completely off the stat sheet. That's right, we neutralized one of the biggest defensive monsters in the league. This shows how our O-line is evolving and becoming a force to be reckoned with. Leave in the comments if you're also seeing this growth in the offensive line. On Cleveland's side, the truth is that their offense couldn't keep up the pace. Our defense's work was flawless, with constant pressure and high-level coverage. They only crossed midfield once in the first half, and after a crucial 4th down stop, they were already down 24-3 at halftime. Our pass rush once again showed its strength. Deshaun Watson had only 125 passing yards, and their only touchdown, a 10-yard pass to tight end Jordan Akins, only came at the end of the second half when the game was practically decided. So, folks, the question that remains is, has the Commanders' defense finally consolidated as one of the best in the NFL? And I can't fail to mention our favorite linebacker, Frankie Luvu, who had another one of those sensational games. He said after the game, "The plays that are there to be made, I'm trying to capitalize on them." The guy even added, "I got 2 sacks today. I'm going to focus on that and drink some tequila." I guess nobody can complain, right? Luvu is playing like never before and helping to elevate the level of this defense that was already growing. It's this kind of mentality that makes the difference. But of course, there's always room for improvement, and the defense knows that. As Allen said, there are still a lot of plays we need to clean up. He's right. And we know these guys won't settle for little. Who's anxious to see what this defense can still do? Now, friends, what really catches the attention is the fact that, despite the big victory, Washington still hasn't managed to hold an opponent below 100 rushing yards. Cleveland finished with 104 yards and an average of 4.5 yards per rush. This shows that there are still points to be adjusted, especially when we think about the next opponent, the Baltimore Ravens. With Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, the Ravens' ground game will be one of the biggest challenges for our defense so far. Will the Commanders be able to contain this explosive duo? the doubt remains, and I really want to know what you think about this in the comments. Before we wrap up, I need to emphasize here, you can't miss the next game. It's going to be a trial by fire for Washington, and the expectation is that the defense will show evolution, especially against such a physical offense as Baltimore's. Luvu and the defense guys are already focused on this matchup, but in the meantime, they deserve to celebrate this victory that was very important to keep morale high. The team spirit is strong, and we're going to need that if we want to keep fighting at the top of the NFC. Does anyone think we can dream of something big this season? So that's it. If you enjoyed this analysis and want more content about the Washington Commanders, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This helps us a lot to keep bringing this kind of content to you. And now I want to know, do you think the Washington Commanders will be able to stop Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the next game? Leave your opinion in the comments, and let's continue this discussion. Let's see if our defense is ready for this challenge, or if we still need to adjust a few more things.